Stay tuned because today we hide a winch in the front bumper of my 2005 Toyota 4Runner. We have a 2005 Toyota 4Runner V6 SR5, 269,000 plus miles. And we usually explore the areas around Kansas, our home state, Missouri. We've been up in Iowa, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. I usually enjoy fishing, kayaking, backpacking, and of course, car camping. While I backpacked throughout the incredible areas of the Arkansas and Missouri Ozarks, I wanted to expand to overlanding, and I know that recovery is usually an essential part of making it back home, which brings me to this project, the hidden winch mount and the Open Road Panther Series 2 winch. Now, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there for you to learn how to remove the bumper cover and the crash bar, but I want to point your attention to those bracket bolts with a pro tip. Spray these with PB Blaster or WD-40, something to unseize that nut, maybe even the day before. I saw some who completely twisted off the bolt, which led to, well, other challenges. But here is something that I used that did a great job, and it penetrated the oil up into the bolt so that it removed easily.
Here it is. It's Superzilla. The Green Wonder product, it says here. But I've been using this for a lot of things, especially rusty bolts, nuts. I mean, when you got a vehicle that's like 17, 18 years old, there's a lot of seized parts on here. So as I redid my front end, been using this. I also cleaned my carpet with it. Yep. Took the stains right out. They said cleans as well, so I thought, well, I'm going to try that. So there was a 2-pack of these. There was a spray can and then a liquid. They also say you can put it in your fuel tank and it'll clean your injectors. I haven't tried that yet. I ordered this directly from Superzilla, but I noticed that you can also find it on Amazon as well. I've been using PB Blaster. I like PB Blaster. It's worked for me in the past, but I don't know. Saw this. I can't remember where I saw it, but we tried it and it worked.
Let me disclose, this is not a paid commercial for Superzilla, and I don't make anything out of it, but it did work.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to take this bumper off, but in order to bolt through here,
you heard me say, yeah, bolt through here. My intention when I first attempted this was to bolt on that Harbor Freight winch mount. But the more I looked at it, I thought, well, I'll just be able to bolt this thing on, and but it doesn't work like that for the 2005 4Runner. So basically, I get everything removed, and I'm still thinking at this point, okay, plan B, I'm still going to bolt this on but we're going to add some support, and you'll see here.
What I want to show you is how I'm putting this together. So using the Harbor Freight winch, got these 1-inch pieces. And they're cut 5 inches long. So we'll put one on the left and one on the right side. And we'll bolt this to the bumper itself. And that levels out that winch mount from Harbor Freight. Then we'll come back in and bolt this into the bumper. I got to center it up first.
So the bolt on, is as much as I wanted to do that, because it would have been so much easier and it would have really helped me keep, a minimum amount of investment into this winch mount. Um, I didn't feel comfortable, that was going to hold all that great. The others I've seen that made their own, they had welded it and used some brackets to tie down to those bolts that I'm pointing at right now. The other thing too, if you look at how thin this crash bar is, I mean, this is really a very light gauge, what appears to be a very light gauge metal. And so when I'm, thinking of bolting through that, I just didn't think that was going to hold up. Yet, many of the other winch mounts that I saw hidden, even bumpers, are bolting right onto that. Now, this was another thought I was going to take. I had some angle iron here that I got from a salvage yard. I was going to take, and there is a place right there on the frame. You see that hole? That I could bolt onto that and then add for additional support. And I tried that. And I may go back in and do that. But you'll see at the end, this is not a part of that build. And there was a bumper that I saw that did utilize that back frame, back behind where this winch or where this bumper bolts onto, or this crash bar bolts onto, that actually tied into that frame. But this is really, really thin stuff. But I'm the way it turned out, I'm very pleased with that. We did do some welding. I did have to kind of teach myself, and I'll show you that. Okay, now that I have everything removed from the front of the truck, I saw some rust, and well, I don't have a lot of rust on my truck. Here, in the state of Kansas, we just don't have a lot of that. I wanted to get it removed and then put, some fresh paint on there to prevent any further rust.
That should prevent some more rust.
So at this point, I'm trying to piece, parts of it back together. I've got the crash bar back on. I've got the winch mount sitting on top of that. I'm measuring everything, and in my head at this point was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to weld this on top of this portable welding table, and then I'm going to drill some holes for the bracket, and I'm going to mount it. That became a very very challenging. So you'll see I have here some angle iron that I have just spot welded on there. And then I'm going to attempt to put some brackets onto this and then drill it out. So at this point, I think that I've got this thing figured out. So I'm prepping all of the winch mount and the brackets so that I can tack them on there and get them welded on there and drill my bolt holes to mount this. And again, this was not the right way to go about trying to do this, as you will see. So at this point, I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. So I start to cut out some templates out of cardboard, and I get my bolt holes lined up, make sure this cardboard piece is flush at the top, and then I drill them out to match it up to my bracket.
So I get these made. This actually comes out really flush with the top, so that one's going to be a little easier. This one that's the driver's side. This one on the passenger side, I'm going to have to make a little bit of adjustment when I transfer it, because I've got just a little bit, I missed that by just a little bit. Not much, but still.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here because there's a couple of things I forgot to mention. You see the AC line? That has been moved, and I used some rubber tubing to go around that, and then screwed and strapped on using some zip ties to the frame. So that's out of the way. I will also say that I was a little nervous when I saw that I was going to have to move that, but just be gentle with it. Take small steps with it as you're pushing it around. It will bend easy, but it will break easy too. Also, the headlights. I know I'm going to get these are turn signal lights. This took me a few days, and I work out of a storage building to build this, so I had to strap those on. So I just wanted to mention that because I'm sure you're seeing that in the video and you're questioning, why did I have that up there? So that's why. Now here's where things start to come together. After watching a few more videos, and I see where they're taking bits and pieces of their fabrication and they're bolting it on, spot welding another piece to it. And it really got me to thinking, like I said earlier, this project really got me thinking of a variety of different things. So here I have the bracket bolted on. I have the crash bar bolted on, behind that. And then I've got the winch mount from Harbor Freight along with the L bracket all mounted up there and held down by some clamps. And I just start spot welding it in a variety of different places so it holds together. And then once that's done, I remove all the bolts and it slides off really easy. And now I can really weld my winch mount together with the bracket, the L bar, or the angle iron, everything. This worked out great. And part of this project was really relearning welding. I mean, I welded in high school. I grew up on a farm welding some. But I never used a flux core welder, and I'm using a 1/4-inch angle iron, and that's about what the Harbor Freight winch mount is too. And so I practiced on that and practiced, and then started to put all this together. From there, I still had a little excess of my bracket above. And so here I took my angle grinder along with a cut wheel, and I'm just cutting the tops of these things off. And then after that, I, take my flap wheel and get it all smoothed out. I think it's going to work out great. I threw it up in the air and let it land. It didn't break. I stood on it, didn't break. I drove over it, didn't break. So hopefully when I go to winching up my, truck, it's going to hold together. So, we'll figure it out. I intentionally did not open this box for the winch until I had the bracket made. So the anticipation of what was in the box would be a true surprise for me. I looked at several different winches, but I had a budget I was working within. And then I saw on Ozark Overland Adventures YouTube channel where he had the Open Road winch. And this really helped me make my decision. This is the Panther Series 2 13,000-pound winch.
Let's get in here so that you can see what it is I'm looking at. You got the Open Road Pathfinder, I believe is what it's called, winch. Let's see what else is in here. We've got controller, remote, wired remote. Got some bolts to mount it. Stuff to connect it with. Cable. Big hook. The winch itself with the synthetic cord already wrapped. Instruction book, important. The controller. And exciting 2 wireless remote controls. This actually got here pretty fast. I'm not gonna kid you. Matter of fact, it got here a lot faster than what I thought it would, and I didn't even have my winch mount made. So I've got the Harbor Freight winch mount here.
Well, I need to stop the video again and explain. Due to some of my medical limitations, there was a lot of breaks for me while putting this winch together. As I mentioned earlier, it took me several days, and at the same time, I was trying to get this done before Memorial Day. So, sometimes I got the cart in front of the horse, as the saying goes, and this is certainly one of those times. After playing around with how the winch was going to fit onto the mount, I remembered I needed to add some additional support. So I welded 4 gussets onto the mount here, 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 and here.
I think I may have to make a couple of brackets here, maybe for this controller. I'm not sure if that's going to fit under my hood. Or hidden the way this is set up. I'm not sure. But I've seen it where they mounted the winch controller over here. So I'm going to play with it now and see what happens.
Now, assuming I had easy winch mount to install to on this 4th Gen 4Runner, which I didn't go that route by choice, I would have already been done. The Open Road Panther Series 2 winch is a very easy, straightforward install, and there is a manual that gives you step-by-step instructions. This winch lined up perfectly with the Harbor Freight winch mount bolt holes. And within that mount, I slid in the nuts into the slots provided, and the winch was bolted right on. I did bolt on the fair lead first, and then the winch. That way I could get my tools into a tight spot there. Something that I will mention here is before you bolt this Panther Series 2 mount winch onto the mount, connect your wiring. Connect your wiring first, because there was a terminal on the bottom of this, and there may be on other winches as well, but I should have done that. But here I'm trying to see how this is going to fit up against on the bumper and what other alterations I need to make to it, I guess, at first. Now, in a straightforward installation of this winch, you would be adding that controller on top of the winch itself, as you see on the left side of the screen. But for the way this is going to fit hidden inside the bumper, that controller will not fit there due to some of the brackets that I've got to use to be able to put my bumper cover back on. So here I'm trying to line up again on the left side of the screen how I'm going to add some brackets, because I'm thinking that there's room there that I can mount a bracket and then mount that controller to that area. Now here I'm just scrubbing down the winch, the welding area, the angle iron, the brackets, all with some acetone. You can use some denatured alcohol as well in getting some primer and some paint onto those areas, hopefully to prevent any rust from happening. Again, I'm trying to rush through this. I went quite a long time that particular day in doing this, and I get impatient with it. So what do? I fire up my generator, get my heat gun out, and I try to dry the paint much quicker. Normally, if I wasn't in this big of a rush, I would have let that dry for about 3 or 4 days.
Okay, bumper is on. Mount is on. Winch is installed. Now I should have probably plugged all these in first, but I can deal with this. It's just a matter of getting the cables. But you'll notice here I made some brackets, and that's where I intended to put the controller, so it was close here to these connections. That would have been just too perfect, but I've got this bracket here in the way, and I can't put that controller on top of here because of this bracket here. So After researching on the internet, looks like a bunch of people put it up here under the hood. I saw one where they had installed it on top of this fuse box, but I can't get my hood to close. It's probably about an inch off. So I thought of something else. Thought I would bring it through here and run the cables back over into this area here. But I need to build a mount. So my thought was take care of two birds with one stone, do this.
So plan B. I've been wanting to put an ammunition box in this area of my 4Runner. There's this big open space. I thought about also putting another battery in that spot, but this works out fine. What my plan is to actually mount the controller onto the side of this ammunition box. And I've been playing around with it. I've got plenty of room to do that. And it'll be tight, but it's going to fit. Okay, so relocating the controller under the hood means I'm going to need some longer cables from the controller to the winch. And these are expensive cables too, I might add. Nobody in my local area carried, that thickness of cables. They were out 2 to 4 gauge. So I found some online. They were, $5 to $6 per foot. So I'm looking around and searching the internet, and then pops up jumper cables, 2 gauge jumper cables. Pick up now from my local Wally World, which is just a couple of miles from where I'm at. So bingo, I rushed down there, pick up a set. So this gave me actually 40 feet to work with, because you have both 20 feet of positive and 20 feet of a negative cable. Man, that was a score of about $1 per foot. So I'm excited. I get back, I find some 2 gauge connections and get to work.
So I'm using the vice grip to help me crimp it, or at least get it started. I only had to do like 3 cables because I'm reusing the red cable that came with it. That was automatically the one that was going to the brake line. Not the brake line, the battery. And so that'll get me there. And then I'll do another cable because I was going to need more line anyway. I'm going to use a hammer here to complete the job. And then use that to really crimp it in. What time? Here we go. All right, put the shrink wrap on that. We'll be good to go.
Okay, so let me walk you around what the final product looks like after the installation. You'll see I've got that control box now mounted to the side of the ammunition box. That fits in there right nicely. There's enough room to get that open. You'll see my cable is tucked through and underneath the air intake. Comes out the front side, and I have all of my cabling attached to the terminals. The winch actually hides underneath the bumper very nicely. You'll see I had to cut out a notch. I've started building a case and enclosing for that. Here, you'll notice that I've got a cutout for that AC line, and then of course the gussets that I put in there as well. See the rest on there? That's what happens when you rush the paint job, and I may take this back off and pull it all apart and repaint, prime that thing again. I'm making a cover that's going to slip in there to hide that, and then when I need to use it, I'll just pull it out. This spare lead, I wish I could find, I may look some more to see if I can find like an extension. I don't like how far back it lays in there. And maybe it's fine. It's just me. But I really like it so far. I got to test it out. Didn't have to, but I wanted to test it out, make sure I knew how it worked. Inside this ammunition can right now, I've got just a rag to check oil with. I got my wireless and wired controllers. Overall, I like how it turned out, and you know, this was the maybe first priority I thought for recovery gear, getting stuck out on the trail. Maybe you would have took a different first step. I'm not sure. I think first step for me was just getting the vehicle. So maybe this is my second step. So hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you tried this? Did you do something different? You know, maybe I should have gone with a bumper. You know, who knows? But I enjoy reading your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Please subscribe if you like. If you didn't like, you can. Let me know what it is you didn't like. Thanks for joining me.